Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk. And I'm following up a walk I did before with the very lovely Elizabeth Houston. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Richard.
I should say that you are a writer, an author, a novelist,
yes,
however you want to describe it, and an actress as well.
I'm afraid I am, yes.
And you live just outside the village of Liss.
Yes,
in fact,
indeed.
We're standing outside a very palatial place, Stodham Park.
Yeah.
Now, I assume, obviously, you live in a great big country mansion like that, Stodham Park.
Dream on.
So, Stodham Park is an interesting place because during the war, it has important. Well, it was up to important business like Bletchley Park, I remember you saying.
Yes, indeed, it was. It was a kind of mini Bletchley, really. So they trained spies.
Gosh.
And
yeah,
yes, that's
fantastic.
what they were doing.
Unfortunately, we can't go in because I think the owners are away at the moment.
Yes, they are, I'm afraid, yes.
Otherwise,
yes,
obviously, we would have taken you in for tea. But
We would have done it.
let's take a stroll, because where are you taking me on this occasion, Liz?
Right, we're actually walking along here, something that's called the Shipwrights Way. The Shipwrights Way, which if you've got, there's a sign up there. The Shipwrights Way runs from Alice Holt's Forest in the northeast of Hampshire, right the way down to Portsmouth Dockyard. And in fact, actually, it has references as far back as the 13th century. And it's where they carry the wood from the trees that they felled in Alice Holt Forest down to Portsmouth Dockyard to build ships, and they've been doing that for all that length of time. And in fact, as I said to you earlier, that one of the most famous ships that they carried the wood to build was Nelson's Victory. So they came along to build the wood that built the Victory, came along this road.
Gosh, and I presume...
Tiny lane.
Yes, tiny lane, and they were, using horses and carts and whatever?
Yes, very much so.
Now, these lanes they're sunken lanes, aren't
they? They are indeed. And this is a particularly wonderful example of a sunken lane. And this particular one, local people like me, we call it, it's known as the Smuggler's Way, this route. And that tells you exactly what it was.
What it was.
Yes.
Because you could certainly imagine smugglers coming up here in the dead of night, or even in the dead of day.
Dead of day, yes.
Because you're going to be pretty much unobserved from any high place in a sunken lane.
Quite, yes.
Look at this amazing brickwork that at some point a few hundred years ago, I assume,
yes,
was placed up here. This dry stone walling,
looks
effectively.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Yes,
to
I think so.
protect the lane from caving in.
Yes.
And there's a lot of it. There's a little, what looks like a bridge. Is that a bridge?
It was once, yes. I mean, I've seen pictures of it in the house that we're passing, Stodham Park, when it was a bridge, but that would have been in the 18th century.
Right.
And in the picture that I saw, it did actually have a horse and cart going across the top of the bridge.
Going across of it?
Yes.
Blimey.
This being the front of the house at that time.
On our right.
Not. Now it's the other side of the house is classed as the front of the house. It's
a very... I mean, we're filming in February, and the sun is shining, and in the rays of the sun, it's lovely and warm. As we come into the shade down here, the temperature certainly drops a couple of degrees, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a very evocative lane. I imagine at night time it's very dark.
Very dark. Very creepy.
Very creepy.
It is indeed. Yeah,
and maybe creepy. Some of the ghosts of those old smugglers, or even the shipwright carriers bringing their trees down, still wander down these lanes. Yes. Very evocative.
You can. I'm pretty sure they do, really.
Yes.
To be honest, but it's. Anyway, it keeps the burglars away.
Yes. Oh, well, that's good. That's absolutely good. What's interesting is in this whole area, and you can't really see it, but you can see the trees. There's the coppiced woods going on here.
Yes.
And as I drove to your house, Liz, it was rewarding for me, because I've been interested in trees for a while and been learning about coppiced woods and the sort of old woodland management, and actually seeing areas that had been coppiced and were looked after. It does seem that they're doing... keeping up the traditional skills that they used to.
Very much so, yes. They're beautifully looked after, yes. These woodlands here, yes, they are.
So much of, so much in Sussex, maybe they are being looked after, but they do often seem a bit abandoned, to say.
Yes.
We're coming up to a little river, is it?
Yes, that's right. This is the River Rother, and it's lovely to have it there, and
Yes.
lots of wildlife here. I mean, 2 sorts of deer. Buzzards live in the woods, just woodland here, and you can hear them squeaking, that strange noise that buzzards make. And we have about, I think it's 38 different varieties of birds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not short of wildlife.
No,
around
we're
here.
not. No, it's very nice.
That's fantastic. We're just passing here on my right hand side another gate, or another entrance rather, into the Stodham Park.
Yes.
Quite a big estate that would have owned in its day quite a lot of land.
Yes, it doesn't anymore. I think they've got about 40 acres or something, but that's all. But whereas it would have had hundreds of
Yes.
acres, I think.
And it's a Georgian sort of period
Yes,
house.
it is. It's one of those lovely square buildings that
Yes.
look like children's drawings. It's a
Absolutely.
pretty house. Yes.
This is lovely, isn't it? Coming over a
Yes.
little humpback bridge over the river. Let's see if we can. And you can hear that. Well, you might not be able to. We can hear the wonderful stream just drifting away down slowly towards the coast, wherever it comes from.
Yes, it does. It has a lovely sound, I must say. Don't know if I can see any today, but
No, I wouldn't want to fall in it today on a cold day like this, because
No.
it's about maybe 2 degrees now. It was about -1 when I left home earlier.
Funny enough, I don't think I want to fall in it.
No, at any time. And this area, bluebells and
Bluebells, and
snowdrops
on your right, we have
behind us here.
wild garlic too. I mean, that in great field of it there. Oh, it smells like heaven.
Yes,
at the right time of year.
It's an amazing part of the world that you live in, and surrounded by hills. You were telling me that
Yes.
this part of Hampshire, or Petersfield,
Yes,
because we're near Petersfield.
We're near Petersfield. Yes.
It's how many hills did you say?
7. Yes.
7 hills.
Yes. Not Rome. Forget about it. Rome. 7 hills.
So there's 7 peaks. I could, instead of the 3 peaks that people do.
Yes, that's right.
I could go exploring the 7 peaks around Petersfield.
You could. Yes, indeed. Yes, you could, yes.
That would be great.
And we are in the national park here, of course.
Oh, in the South
This
Downs.
is the South Downs National Park here. Yes.
It is amazing how big the South Downs Natural Park.
It is, isn't
Natural
it?
Park. National Park is.
It is. Yes,
And
it's
and
long
only
and thin.
only fairly recently designated.
Yes. What was it? 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I think. Yes. Yes.
And that's nice to know that this is protected then.
Oh, it is. Yes. No,
Yes.
it's very special that is the case. This is actually a wildflower walk, which there's a post there.
Oh yes, let's have a look at this little post here. It says here on this, a wildflower verge, Hampshire County Council, with a telephone number. I'm not quite sure what you want to do. And for me, this is quite interesting. We've got here a bit of. I've been reading up on woodland, and we've got here this bank. You see this little bank here that goes around, and it's a definite bank, and you'll see over on the other side. I didn't know this until fairly as a result of reading, which is why reading is always so good. That these banks are pretty old and go back to delineating sections of the woodland to who owned it.
Oh, really? Oh, right.
And that's what they would do. They would build these banks to say, well, this bit is mine, and so if this has got a name like Peter's Wood or something,
Right. Yeah.
that may have been the original chap who owned it.
This bank goes all the way along.
Does it?
Yeah, the lane. Yes.
And then we come up to a bit of a dead end because it says it's private property, Network Rail, because the railway station is very close here. Not the station, the railway.
The railway. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
But they're not allowed to go down here, Network Rail, and they had to put this post up. To
Oh,
stop
they're
them
not
doing
allowed
it.
to go down here. So this
No,
is.
because it's just walking and cycling path. That's why they can't go down there.
Oh, right.
And it ends in a footbridge that goes over the railway. Just a few
And-
yards out here.
And just on cue, you can
There's a
just
train.
about hear a train.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth Houston, we're in the shade of a beautiful old oak tree.
Oh, yes.
We've just come up here with an amazing amount of moss, natural moss growing up there on the root system.
Lovely, isn't it?
It's a beautiful tree.
It is.
Thank you so much for agreeing to take me round again on another and another walk, another exploration.
It's been a great pleasure.
I'm sure there are plenty more walks in this area. So if you ever come to Liss, check out the lovely walks and the lovely places and the lovely woods and the lovely building and the lovely everything. And don't forget to check out Elizabeth Houston's books, because she writes books from the splendour of her house, very close to here, and they're very lovely. So thank you,
Thank you.
Liss.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you
Until
very
the
much.
next time, bye for now.